I want to show you a video. What you're looking at right now is camera footage of our lobby because our building was burglarized last night. You can see the guy forcing the door open. He comes in, he sees a package of mine, pulls the contents out, knows the building well enough to go into the stairwell where he knows there's no cameras, pulls the contents out, and then leaves the building. And he's kind of an organized criminal because he even had a cart waiting outside where he put my contents in there and then promptly walked away. Why am I telling you this story? I know that when I woke up this morning and I saw the camera footage and everything, I felt violated. You know, it was clearly triggering me in some way, and I felt really bad. Like, I just felt really bad. And the fact of the matter is that nothing is ever going to hit you harder than real life. But what do you do to bounce back? I know that I couldn't let this consume my morning. I had a mountain of work that was sitting in front of me that I needed to tend to. But what can I do to bounce back in order to be able to tackle the rest of my day? So here are some tips that I follow. Number one is to reframe the problem, because this is just shoes. Well, what if it was something more material? What if it was a more serious incident? So I like to think of not bouncing back, but bouncing forward. And so it's important to reframe what happened here. It was just a pair of shoes. It wasn't like anybody was compromised or hurt in a more serious way. So my life can fundamentally move on. Number two is to journal. This sounds really woo-woo, but it's the old me would have just shoved what I was feeling under the rug and gotten right back to work. But here's the danger of that happening. Those feelings, that sadness, that anger, whatever I was feeling gets trapped in your body. And then as a leader, I had to be aware that that might sneak out in some other way down the line. Maybe I end up yelling at one of my direct reports. Maybe I'm yelling at the Uber driver. So I've learned in real time to feel my feelings, get it out on paper, and accept that I'm going to feel vulnerable even if it's for a minute. Number three, and I think this is one of the most important ones, is to think about what you would do differently. Football teams, after they have a big game, NFL teams, will sit down with their team and analyze, what did we do right, what did we do wrong, and what are we going to iterate on the next time we're out on the field? And I really think that there's some real life applications to this that you can do anytime something goes terribly wrong. Because in the larger scheme of things, you want to make sure that in real time you've processed what's happened so you can toggle for the next time it rears its ugly head. So what could I have done differently? Well, I put notifications on my phone anytime anything gets delivered. I usually walk downstairs right away and make sure that I pick it up. I didn't do that this time. And the third thing I could do, and something that we actually corrected for before, because my building has actually been on the receiving end of many thefts since we've moved in, is to make sure that we install cameras so that we have documentation of who is coming in and out of our building. And we can pull that very quickly, and I can use that for the police report that I subsequently filed. It's way more compelling for the police to see him forcing the door, walking in, what he's wearing, height, weight, shoes. I know that the old me probably wouldn't have filed a police report, probably wouldn't have documented this, but the new me knows that it's so important to document everything. And then step number four is acceptance. I have to accept that I have moved into an urban environment. We've bought a home in Brooklyn and moved to a new neighborhood in the last while. The upside is that I have a beautiful home. I live in an urban area that I would never probably consider living elsewhere. The downside is that in an urban environment, thefts are a common thing, especially in this economy. And again, these are factors that are outside of my control, and there's really nothing that I could have done to change it. But what I can do is change my response to what's happening. In conclusion, when bad things happen, it's important to think about how you're going to bounce back and protect for the emotional downside. Because as Rocky says in this motivational video, which is one of my favorite videos that I've ever seen, nothing ever hits harder than real life.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
Hey, if you like the content that you're seeing here, subscribe to my channel. You'll get a bell notification every time I upload a new video. In addition, I have a mastermind that I am creating for 2022. If you're an elite woman that has a goal and you want to learn to be able to protect for the emotional downside when you're going after that big, hairy goal that you really want to achieve, I want to be able to help you to do that and put both systems and processes and accountability around that process. So if you would like to be a part of my mastermind, I'm accepting applications now. All you got to do is email me at the email down below and I'll be able to send you the application.